BEONTV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com.
মানব জীবন আল্লাহ পাকের বিশেষ নিয়ামত, কিন্তু আমরা কি তার সে নিয়ামতের সদ্ব্যবহার করছি? প্রবাসে এসেও আমরা জড়িয়ে যাচ্ছি নানাবিধ ঘটনা, দুর্ঘটনায়। আমাদের বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটিতে অহরহ ঘটছে নানাবিধ অনাকাঙ্ক্ষিত ঘটনা। আর প্রবাসের সে সকল বাস্তব ঘটনাবহুল অনুষ্ঠান জীবন থেকে নেয়া উপস্থাপনা করছি আমি মোহাম্মদ মুফিদুল গনি মাহতাব। শীঘ্রই আসছে বিয়ন টিভির পর্দায়।
প্রবাসী বাঙালিদের নানা ঘটনা দুর্ঘটনার বাস্তব চিত্রের কথামালা নিয়ে মাফিদুল গনি মাহতাবের পাক্ষিক অনুষ্ঠান জীবন থেকে নেয়া দেখুন বিয়ন টিভিতে পাক্ষিকভাবে। প্রযোজনায় আবু এইচ চৌধুরী সুইট।
অন্যায়, অত্যাচার, অবিচার, রাজনীতি, অর্থনীতি, সংস্কৃতি, ধর্মনীতি কিংবা দুর্নীতি, প্রাসঙ্গিক হয় নিয়মের জালে যা অপ্রাসঙ্গিক, যা আপনি বলতে চান, আপনারা বলতে চান, এসবেরই সমসাময়িক প্রেক্ষাপট নিয়ে আপনাদের সরাসরি অংশগ্রহণে আমি রিয়াদাহাত বিয়ন টিভির পর্দায় আসছি নতুন অনুষ্ঠান নিয়ে। আমিও বলতে চাই, আপনারা বলবেন, আমরা শুনব।
রিয়াদাহাতের সঞ্চালনায় কমিউনিটির নানা বিষয় নিয়ে ভিন্ন মাত্রার অনুষ্ঠান আমিও বলতে চাই দেখুন প্রতি সপ্তাহে শুধুমাত্র বিয়ন টিভিতে। প্রযোজনায় শিপন আহমেদ।
BEONTV UK, for
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Wholehearted Living with Aamilah. You are tuned in live on BEONTV, and those of you who are watching later, please do give us a follow and so that you can be updated and notified of our live shows. So this is a show that's all about courage, compassion and connection, and I bring to you stories through my guests, stories about courage, stories which you can then become compassionate with yourself and with the storyteller, and also create that connection with them and resulting in support to the stories that you listen to, and also with each other and with our guest. So I'm going to introduce my guest shortly, but this is a story that I'm going to bring to you about the road to success and a journey of riding the highs and lows. And I have with me in the studio Afia Begum. Assalamu alaikum, Afia.
Welcome, Salam.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you for taking the time out to come, and thank you for coming forward and being open to sharing your story. And your story is one that has a lot of highs and lows, and just for the benefit of our viewers, Afia is a chartered accountant, and but your journey was not a linear one. You know, we have this conventional way is you finish school, you do your A-levels, you go to university, and then you either go and get yourself a job or you go on a graduate scheme and you work your way. And that's a story for a lot of people, but there are also a few amongst those many that it's not so conventional, it's not a linear journey, and that's what I'm here today. I want to hear all about your journey and how you became and qualified as a chartered accountant. So if you just want to do a brief introduction to our viewers, and then I'll start going through the questions and the story with you.
So hi everyone, I'm Afia Begum and I'm chartered accountant from Coventry, and yeah.
Okay, so you've got a firm that accountancy firm that you've recently set up. It's very much in its infancy, Alif Accountancy Services, but we're going to come back and talk about that a bit later on. But first of all, what I want to talk about is your journey. When did you, because you faced a lot of challenges along the way, challenges from your own health problems, challenges with relating to your children, and various other challenges. So let's start from the beginning, and you know where you started off and decided, right, I want to go down the road of becoming an accountant, but then these are the challenges that I encountered along the way.
Yeah, so it started off when actually I was 15 years old, and I always dreamt that I wanted to be an accountant, and it was my dad, mom and my uncle's dream as well, and I was so young and I knew what I wanted at that age. But then life doesn't go according to plan. I ended up starting my family life instead early, which alhamdulillah was a good thing because I've got my lovely children. So instead of continuing my studies after my A-levels, I decided to start my family life. So I was really young and I started my family life, and alhamdulillah now I've got 3 children. So my eldest is 20, my son's 18, and my little one, she's 15. That's what happened. So then I started my family life early. So then I went back into studies a bit later on in life. And then when my kids were born, they were all born with health conditions called thalassemia. So they've all got blood disorders. So one by one were born with a blood disorder, and life was starting to get really hectic and busy. I was still working part-time at that point when they were young.
So I'm just going to pause it. Like, how was that for you? How did you find that part of your journey? Finding out first you had your firstborn, and then they've got thalassemia. Then you have your second child, which is not from the age that you've just said, not too far apart in years that you would have had your second child, and then your third child. Like, and as a mother who's also, like you said, working part time. And you've got this dream and ambition still, which is there in the background. Like, how was that for you, dealing with 3 children, one after another, who's got this blood disorder?
So my eldest daughter was born when she was 6 months old. They told me that she had thalassemia. So the first 6 months I didn't even know about this condition, and then they started doing like further tests and take her on board. When she was 6 months and I was already expecting my second child, I was actually young myself. I was like, I think 19 at that. So I didn't really I didn't understand the illness. I didn't believe it. They said they could just end up staying anemic forever, may not need transfusions, or they may need blood transfusions. I think because we're Muslims and we have so much faith, we were like, Allah, we'll do dua to Allah, and Allah is the best of planners, and Allah will give them shifa. So my parents and my uncle got together and took us to Umrah and said, we take the little children to Umrah so that Allah gives them shifa. We just carried on, just with our faith that inshallah everything will be okay. But as a couple of years went on, when they were 3-4 years old, both of them, they actually started their blood transfusions. So that's when it kind of reality kicked in, that they do have a serious condition that you just can't see. And then
what I'm hearing you say then is that there's an element of having that faith, and then there's an element of accepting that this is my truth, and I've got to work with this truth of mine, and then just being there and getting the medical support and advice that you needed, and the support of family around you.
That's it, and then I had my third one as well. I was young and I just thought, inshallah, the next one will be okay, because it's 1 in 4 chance to get a genetic disorder, so it's not always that they'll be born that way. So I thought, inshallah, next time we'll be fine. But it was still the same thing. But it's all Allah's will. So Allah is the best of planners, and I'm happy. I love my children to bits, and the most amazing thing that's ever happened is them. To be honest, I had lots of family support, and as my children, while they were little, they were struggling a lot with their health, and things were like, there was a lot of strain financially, even like living. I couldn't live on my own. I had to live with my parents because I needed support 24 hours. I needed support from my sisters, my parents, my uncle.
So that's a support to care for your children.
For the children, and I was still working part-time. And then I decided, hold on, why don't I just go back to my dream that I always dreamt of, becoming an accountant? And so I spoke with family, and they said, look, honestly, go back and continue your dreams and qualify and become something so you can give your kids a good life. So then I started, I think when I was about 26 years old, I started, so still working part-time, and then I started my studies, and that's where it all started. So I took a step back actually in my children's life. So I left my children to be taken care of by my family, and that's a big thing, really, because you thought not for yourself that I want to go back and make something of myself. Yes, there's an element of that, but actually if I make something of myself, the opportunities and doors that I can open up for my children will be greater. And so I can't imagine it being an easy decision where you take a step back and then your parents, your siblings, your uncle, your family step in and say, right, we're going to take care of the children, we're going to support you with that, you go and do what you need to do. We're going to come to where you are now and what doors that's opened up for you. But I can't imagine that have been an easy decision. It was really difficult, to be honest, because even while I went back into studies and I was still working part-time, you know, everybody else in the family had to step in to help me. So it meant that they were all working different hours, doing different things, you know, managing my children. And obviously when you've got a lot going on in life naturally, like with children's health and trying to work and study, it does add a lot of strain on the marriage as well. So there's that element that was adding, because I was no longer available for anybody in my life, not even my family, not even my children, not even for my own relationship. I was just a busy woman. But I knew what I was doing it for my children's future. So I just carried on. I was like, inshallah, everything will be okay.
And I'm just listening to you talk, and I'm thinking, you know, we hear this a lot. It takes a village to raise a child, but your parents were also, you're their child.
Yes.
So they were still raising you. Your uncle,
yes,
was also part of that village that's going to raise you,
yes,
and then everybody stepped in to continue that through you to your children, to raise them.
Yes.
So it is that, you know, it does take an entire village to raise a child.
Honestly.
And you can't do it on your own.
No.
Always.
I didn't do any of it on my own, to be honest, because it was then my parents making sure, am I eating on time? Am I sleeping on time? Because I'm working, I'm studying. They're making sure my kids are being fed on time. They're making sure my husband's, you know, being taken care of as well, so it doesn't add any strain on our relationship, making sure he's okay, you know, making, you know, everyone's doing the hospital runs. So my mom's going to the blood transfusion with the children. My sisters are going, my husband's taking them, my dad's taking them some days, my uncle's doing the hospital runs, while I'm just still out there working and studying, missing appointments because I needed to do what I needed to do for my children. My son, actually, when he was a couple of years old, he was 10 years old, he underwent surgery, and I had exams on that day. I had to leave him in the hands of my family and just kiss him goodbye, and sat my exams crying while I knew my son was in surgery. It was really, really heartbreaking. So,
and you know, some people may be watching and thinking, well, actually, why did you need to do that? You should have been there with your son. And I'm sure you hear that from other people, like the judgmental kind of comments that you get, because they have to walk in your shoes to know where you're at, right? You know, you read a lot of memes that say, you know, walk in my shoes for a day and then come back and,
that is it,
you know, judge me, pass that judgmental statement. So what do you say to those people?
I say to people, well, I left my child with my mother, who is actually the mother for all of us. She is a better mother to my children than probably I am anyway. But yeah, left my child in the hands of my mother. So that's the best thing I could do, like leave him in the safest hands.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So, the mother of everybody's mother.
That's it.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Right. So moving on, we've had the challenges that you had with your children, and then, you know, you had the support that you needed to go there, but you're still on this journey of completing your studies and accomplishing what you call your dream of being an accountant, which actually has manifested into a reality now. Alhamdulillah. So let's carry on with your journey.
So a few years went by, and then I realised in accountancy we need to have so many years of experience to become a chartered accountant. So I had to then work Monday to Friday, so I had to go get a full-time job in accountancy and start working 5 days a week, which meant then Saturday, Sundays I was studying. So Monday to Friday I was working, and I used to start like 6 o'clock in the morning till like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I used to study 5 in the evening and probably go home 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I was literally like doing 12 to 16 hours, including my studies every day. And then Saturday, Sunday, I used to go into class, which was in Birmingham, and I used to study. I was studying privately, so it was at my own cost as well. So I had to pay for them because I took a different route. I didn't go to university to get a finance out or a loan out. I actually paid for the course by myself, so it was expensive.
And you said earlier on in your introduction that you're from Coventry, and you just said it now as well. And then you were studying in Birmingham, and then that's a lot.
It is,
the travelling, the to and fro, and then the long hours. And I'm going to come on to it because your health. No doubt this was putting a lot of pressure on your physical and emotional and psychological health as well.
It was, because even though I was studying and working really hard and I left my children with my family, like I said, I took a step back with all the appointments, but I still was going home to my children, taking care of them. Like nights I'll still be up because I didn't want to miss out on something, so wanted to be there. So the nights I'm just like trying to give up my sleep just to spend a bit of time with my children. Every day I'd still need to spend time with them.
And how long, like in terms of number of years, how long were you on this journey to get to where you are now?
It took me 10 years.
10 years, wow.
And it's only because obviously the challenges I faced, it could have been sooner, but when you've got challenges, it is a long journey.
Yeah.
So
and the setbacks that come with those challenges.
That's it.
You also did your studies part-time.
Yes.
So that takes longer. I love your story, by the way, and because with myself, it wasn't a conventional route.
Yeah.
Still waiting on my legal career to pick up and take off. And you get challenges that come along the way, and they shape you and they make you, and you grow from that, you learn from that, and here you are sitting now sharing those with others, so that others can take benefit from that. And it takes, what my show is about, Wholehearted, it takes a lot of courage,
it does.
you know, to share that. So let's move forward then. You've finished your studies, and then where did you go? What happened after that?
So what happened was actually quite sad, because I just about finished my studies in 2019 and I qualified as a chartered accountant. So that year I qualified as a chartered accountant, but then I got diagnosed with cancer, so I got quite sick that year.
Okay, so I want you to just say that again, so our viewers can actually just hear that again. So you've got this woman who's faced with all these challenges. She's on a route to making her dream become a reality, and sacrificing the joys of being with, you know, day in, day out with her children, had the support of her family, has now taken on this, put herself through so much stress, physical stress, emotional stress, psychological stress. Finish in 2019.
Yes.
And then you're diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, so that was the year I finished, I qualified, I went for my, got my certificates. I was so happy, and there was a year we were going to party. My dad, uncle and mom always had dreams that they were going to throw a massive party, and the year was here, but sadly I got diagnosed with cancer, so I became quite sick. So I had to undergo like 2 surgeries to kind of like start getting better. So that year was actually quite a difficult year.
How was that for you?
It was very obviously shocking, because I was young. I was only like 36 at that time, and I didn't expect that I was going to get sick. But just 2 years before that, I was really tired all the time. And the doctors said, oh, you've got 3 poorly children, you're studying, you're working, you work full time, you're studying to become chartered, so you are going to be tired. So I just blamed it on my hectic life.
The hectic lifestyle.
Didn't realise that I was actually getting sick. But it was actually it was really like shocking, to be honest, that got sick. But alhamdulillah, again, I can't, say how much I appreciate and love my whole family for the support they've given me. My mom, dad, my uncle, everybody, my sisters.
Okay, take a moment.
Even my children, my husband, everybody was there. So alhamdulillah, I can't complain.
Okay. So give me a moment. I'm just going to get a tissue for Afia.
Yes, sorry.
I'm feeling from you as you're talking how difficult.
It was so difficult.
Understandably difficult for you. And it's another in the mix, because you've got your parents, your uncle, your siblings are now having to step up and care for you, as well as caring for your children and your husband as well. And you're so close to the finish line. You're at the finish line.
I was at the finish line.
And then you get this huge setback.
It was a huge setback. I was lucky because the people I was working for Jaguar Land Rover at that time, and honestly, a lovely company to work for. My managers literally stepped in and supported me all the way through. I had people from work supporting me, so it was good. In a way, it's a blessing, because everyone that's in my life I know are all amazing people that supported me. So I was on. The NHS actually worked quite quickly on me as well, knowing that my job was really senior. They understand I had deadlines and my work is so senior. They actually put me quite quick. They did my surgeries really, really quickly. They helped me with all my treatments so quickly. I was actually surprised how quickly they pushed. But they said they normally categorize people in a certain way, and because of the level of job I was doing, how senior it was, deadlines, and how important they actually kind of helped me get better quite quickly.
If I was watching this show right now, I have 2 questions that I would want to ask. And you don't have to answer these questions if you don't want to, but I'm going to ask them.
Okay.
What cancer was it that you had?
So it was thyroid cancer, so it was just in the glands. In a way, it's a blessing. It was just a couple of %. But But yeah, it was just thyroid cancer.
Thyroid cancer,
So
like
the
we-
first surgery, they took the first lump out, and then the second one, they just took the other one out just as a precaution. So that's why I had two
So
surgeries.
you're in remission now.
I'm in remission. I'm in my 4th year, alhamdulillah. Nothing, there's no signs of it. And inshallah, next year I should be discharged and life.
Inshallah.
Yeah,
Right. We make
inshallah.
du'as. Let's all take a moment.
Yes.
Like to make du'as for Afia for longevity in her healing, and that the cancer does not come back.
Yeah, thank you so
Ameen.
much.
Right. So that was your body actually telling you.
That was my body. It just gave
Afia, I
up.
can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
and I
You need
pushed
to
it.
slow down. I can't do this anymore. And that he was crying for help.
It was,
So
yeah.
what happened after that? So you've now had your treatment. You're
Yeah.
better. You've at the finish line. But we're going to go
Yes.
back. Where did we
Yeah.
go from there? What
So
happened
I
in your
still
journey?
carried on with working, and my real goal was my business. So I still had to carry on. I needed another few more years of experience to get my license. So I didn't stop there. I still had so much passion for this journey, especially because I know it's my parents' dream. It's going to give my kids a good life, and I thought I can't stop here. So as soon as I started getting better, my employers were like really lenient. So I was working from home and started healing, but I just would not give up on the work. So I carried on, and yeah. So as we progressed, I carried on working as normal, but then COVID came, so we got stuck in lockdown, sadly, but I was still working towards my experience so I can get my public license. But then sadly in 2021, I lost my uncle, so he passed away. And that was another difficult time.
Because your uncle is a huge pillar in your life.
My uncle was everything.
And was this your maternal uncle or your paternal uncle?
My dad's,
Your dad's
brother, so
brother.
paternal, so he was younger than my dad by 10 years. But the amount of support he gave me throughout my career is unbelievable.
Take your time.
And the business was his dream, because he had a travel agent in Coventry, and he used to always say that as soon as you get your license and we set up your firm, I'm going to change the shop and I'm going to make it Aamilah Accountants, and I'm going to support you with your business. And I remember a few months before he passed away, he was planning, he was like, oh, you've only got a couple of months left till you get your license. And I was only a few months away from my license. And he said, oh, it's a few more months and inshallah you get your license and we're going to throw a party. He was planning all his outfits and everything. He was planning everything. He was like, this is what I'm going to do for you. And he really supported us for years. And it was his dream. And I've come so far, but he didn't see the final dream, which was the business, because that was his end goal. Because he was like, you're going to have the business and the kids, you're going to be able to give the kids a good life, because inshallah you'll grow your business. And it was more for them. He was more worried about the kids. Like, he loved his grandkids to bits. He was like, they are my life, and I just want you to do this business so you can give them a good life. But sadly he didn't make it, but I still carried on with the business.
So that was another, because grief and loss, like it's can have a huge knockback.
It does, yeah.
And you've just had, you know, you've gone through your 3 children who are ill. You've had your long struggle, your journey. You've had cancer, and then again you're so close to another goalpost, another milestone, and then you've lost an uncle who, correct me, you know, is like a father figure to you, and who has been a pillar of support. And you know,
he was actually the breadwinner of our house. He was taking care of my mum, dad, everything. The moment he went, I had to step up in the family and think, well, now I'm going to have to take care of everybody. He just vanished. And I thought, well, there's no one else. I don't have any brothers. We just had no one else to turn to. So it changed my whole life. Like, now I know that I'm responsible for every other member of my family, which alhamdulillah I'm happy, because they've done so much for me. It's my turn to give back now, isn't it? And they're our parents. So I remember before he passed away, he texted me just a few days before they put him into the ventilator, and he just said, I love you all. And he just said, Afia, make sure you take care of your parents, take care of your mum and dad. And it really breaks my heart, because I think I know what he was obviously he's trying to say.
But he leaves behind a beautiful legacy.
Yes, very
he leaves
beautiful.
behind a beautiful legacy, and we're going to talk about this, because there's a part of your business where you honour him.
Yes.
And we'll come on to that. So when did you get your license, and when did you set your firm up?
Yeah, so just want to say, just after he passed away, it was his dream that I'd get my degree as well, and my mum and dad. So when he passed away, I actually started my degree in September 2021, but he passed away in October 2021. So I stopped the degree. And then in March 2022, I said, I'm going to just go for it. So I rang back I rang the place up to continue my degree, Oxford Brookes, and they said I've only got 2 months to complete the degree. So in 2 months, while I was grieving at home, crying every day, working, I was actually working then about 2 jobs to try and take care of everything we were ended up in. I did the degree in 2 months, and then alhamdulillah, I've got the ceremony this week coming on Thursday. I'll be taking my parents with me, but sadly he's missed that as well. He knew I was doing it, but he didn't make it. But yeah, and then obviously from there the next bit starts. So
and you've got your own firm now, right?
Now alhamdulillah, I've got my own firm. So after my uncle passed away, 7 months after that, got my license. It's like I was excited and happy and such a relief that I went through so much to get it. At the same time, the sadness was behind that my uncle's no longer here to see it.
It just makes the focus so much more. It just brings so much more depth to it, and you know, the perseverance, because you're very intrinsically motivated,
yes.
Which is beautiful. And when you're intrinsically motivated, you know that you're going to go further, because you're going to keep going, to maintain that. I'm going to talk about your business a bit later on, right? But first of all, you talked a lot about your support network, your family, your siblings, your uncle, your partner. What would you say to people who are listening and they've got loved ones who are going through difficulties and challenges, not just on a career path, but generally? Like, what would you say to them about the difference that support network makes?
I would just say to all my viewers out there, if you have family members or anyone that you know that needs your support, honestly give them that support, because you don't know what difference your support can make in their lives, and it will continue forever. And I feel like when you're supporting people from the bottom of your heart, it is a form of charity, isn't it? We say it's an act of charity. It's like sadaqah for the rest of your life, like you're supporting people. Because everyone that supported me in my network, I am where I am today, is because of the support. I couldn't have achieved it by myself. And you know what, the du'as I have, you know, for my family, my sisters, my parents, my children, my husband, the friends that supported, people that worked with me, honestly, it will be just there forever. So I always say that, honestly, genuinely, just give someone that support, because you don't know what difference you can make in someone's life and how far they can achieve with your support. So just do it, and you know, being kind, it can go a long way. So
thank you for that. What are your key lessons or learnings that you've learnt along the way?
So a lot of things I've learnt along the way is that obviously prioritize your health. So when your body is trying to tell you something, do kind of listen to it, because I avoided mine at that point. So it's good to have ambitions, good to have career goals, but if you need to take a break, do take your breaks in between, and manage things in a different way rather than overwhelming yourself. Another thing is always, you know, never give up. So it doesn't matter what your dreams are, even if you're going to take smaller steps, take the smaller steps, but just don't give up and keep going. And have faith, and inshallah everything will be okay. Some very good lessons there that you shared with us.
I know from my experience, my own personal experience, and the experience of like many people that I meet, and I listen to stories about, you know, the non-conventional road to success and the highs and lows along there. And I know for many, probably all, there's a breaking point from which you have to really work hard and find that strength to rise back to rise back up again. Did you have any of those breaking points along your journey?
I did. So because I got married at a young age, and marriages are generally, I think you have to work on it to kind of make it work. And the beginning first few years are really difficult, I think. And I think with my 3 children being so poorly, I needed a lot of support. I think that was causing so much strain, because I was no longer available for anybody, because I needed support with the 3 children. I think that was causing a lot of issues. And then things happened, and you know, it did add a lot of pressure onto my relationship. And then I realized how life was difficult, because I've got 3 children now with a lot of health problems, and then it was adding a lot of strain to my marriage. And then a lot of it was, you know, was causing a lot of I mean, raising children with health conditions is a financial burden as well, like all these hospital runs and, you know, just the additional stuff that you need to provide for them. There's a lot of financial costs. So it just kind of I come to a breaking point where I can't live. Like, obviously my parents gave me the house to live with them, but my kids were growing up and we couldn't even have our own space. And I came to a breaking point where I don't want to live overcrowded. I want to give my kids the stuff that they deserve. I want to be able to live comfortably. I want to be able to become an independent woman myself, so I can take control of the life. I felt like I wasn't in control of what was going on. I felt like I need to become an independent woman because I need to do what's best for my children, grow financially so we can live a comfortable life. And that's when, yeah, I did break at that point. I just realized that if I don't push myself, I've got nothing to rely on. So I think being an Asian woman in the community is more harder because people expect a lot from us. So much. We are expected to do so much. People don't realize we have dreams and we have wishes and we have, like, we need support too. Everyone forgets about our feelings. The only people that will actually care is your mom and dad. Have you eaten today? Are you sleeping today? Or we'll do this. Everybody else doesn't even realize if your stomach is empty. But my parents never go without a day making sure.
Expected to just keep going, keep going.
I think things added a lot of pressure, and it was my breaking point that I'm going to stand up on my own feet and complete my own dreams.
Thank you. Yeah. So now let's go to the business. Your business is set up. It's very much in its infancy because it's been about a year.
Yes, that's correct.
Alif Accountants.
Alif Accountants, yeah.
Right, and that's ALYF. Alifaccountants.co.uk is your website.
Alifaccounts.co.uk.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Alif Account, and I've got it written down as well, but yeah, alifaccountants.co.uk, but it is ALYF. And you've converted your garage into your office space, your workspace, and you're taking clients on?
I'm taking clients on, that's correct. So I do work remotely, but I have an office at home, made a beautiful office now. I also have a team internationally, which is in Bangladesh, who do a lot of my accounting and bookkeeping for me. So I'm kind of like, alhamdulillah,
so why have you
growing.
chosen to outsource to Bangladesh?
The reason I decided to outsource to Bangladesh is because I wanted to support people within my home country to grow financially as well, because I know life in other countries are difficult as well, and I've been through difficulty myself, and I know that in Bangladesh, you know, it's not obviously a well-off country. So I thought, well, instead of me giving people jobs in the UK, people in the UK can get jobs, they can stand on their feet and they can achieve their goals, whereas people in Bangladesh don't get that opportunity. So I thought I'm going to give them that opportunity.
Okay, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. And there's a part of your business where you honour your uncle.
Yes.
And so let's talk a little bit more about that.
So because the business was my whole family's dream, especially my uncle's, I decided, we have a madrasa in Bangladesh, our own madrasa in the village. So my dad and uncle used to support that. They've got about, I think, 150 orphans that they look after. So the purpose of the business was not just for my children, but more to support our madrasa in Bangladesh and look after those children as well. And it was always my uncle's dream. So now that he's passed away, so what we do with the business is that all the revenue that comes, I give 10% straight to Sadaqah on behalf of my uncle. So he's got Sadaqah Jariyah from the business for the rest of his life. And obviously we started the business under, obviously starting with Alif. Again, that was named by my family, dad, uncle, because Alif obviously is the first alphabet in the Quran. Allah's name starts with Alif as well. So we was like, let's start it with the beginning of Allah's name.
That's beautiful.
And
that's a really beautiful gift.
It's a gift
that you're giving to your uncle, and that's why I said earlier, he's left behind a legacy through yourself.
That's
right?
it, yeah.
So we need to support this woman. We need to support Afia with her business. We need to support and empower those in our community, small businesses, startups. So connect with Afia. It's alifaccountants.co.uk, and that's ALYF. You can also find her on Instagram, which is Afia Begum, chartered accountant.
Yes,
right?
that's correct. Yes.
And give her a follow, connect with her, and support her business. If you're looking for accountancy services, then have a conversation with her and see what she is able to do for you. As we come to the end of the show, I'm just going to ask you what advice would you give to our viewers, like just to leave one piece of gem with them? What would you say to them?
I would just say to everybody out there, whatever your dreams are, never give up and just go for it. have faith in Allah, because Allah is the best of planners, but make sure you work towards your goal and let Allah do the rest for you. But just go for it.
And just keep going. We have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much, Afia, for coming here, for opening up and having the courage and being vulnerable to share your story with us. And I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you and learning a lot about your journey. And so yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you to everybody in the studio who have helped put this show together. Thank you to our viewers. And if you're not already following us, you need to get clicking that follow button, so you can find us on YouTube and Facebook for our live shows. That's BEONTV UK, and you can also give us a follow on Instagram, BEONTV UK, so you can keep up to date what's going on and what shows are coming up. You have been watching the Wholehearted Living Show with Aamilah, a show all about courage, compassion and connection. Thank you very much. Stay well, stay good, be safe and keep smiling. Assalamu alaikum.
BEONTV UK, for the community, by the community. www.beontvuk.com